is the major thing someone needs in order to build a city, or let's call it civilization, is water. The two major civilizations in this part of the world developed by the major rivers. One area is by these two major rivers. You recognize them? Tigris. And the second one is this one. Which one is that? The Nile. So Egypt and the area today, Iraq, Iran, Syria, these are the two major civilizations of this part of the world. If you ask the Bible, this is the only part of the world. And like regular cities that must have roads and connection between them in order to survive as cities, same thing goes with civilization. You need to have connection between civilizations in order to keep them alive. And there were roads going from basically east to west. But there is a little problem. This is desert. So the only way to walk from the east to the west is to go north and then to go down. And going down means going here. This land here. This land here. So Canaan became a crucial point in history that all the civilizations wanted to control. Whoever controlled this area, control the roads, which means control the money. So lots and lots of wars took place in Canaan just to make sure that either the Egyptians or whoever came from the east, the Assyrians, the Babylonians, before them, after them, Persians, will control this area. Now if we take just this area and make it bigger, first of all, this whole area is desert, even in Canaan. It's the desert inside. So we have only the north part. And I want to move to here. This is a very small area. This area here. This map, again, you have to understand, people go from, let's say, from Egypt, they have to move along the coastline from Israel, and then they need to cross. Remember, coastline, mountains, a deep valley, and then you can go further to the east. So, in order to cross the mountain, you need to find easier roads, valleys that cross the mountains, and Mount Carmel, that is the end of the Sumerian areas. We have a couple of them. We used one today. So I don't know how many of you were awake when I mentioned that. But the Salt Valley is the valley that we used. And if you look at this map shows you the roads in this area. And the central junction of most of the roads that you see is this one here. This is the Jezreel Valley. Okay? And the central point is right here. And this point, guards will look at this valley that comes this way, this valley that comes from here, and other roads that went straight, almost straight. So that is a crucial point to control the roads. And whoever controlled this point, controlled most of the roads, Everybody wanted to control this point, and this is what we have. It's called Megiddo. Very famous place, mentioned in the Bible a couple of times in different ways, different stories. One of them is connected to Gezer even. And Solomon built the city here. The father King David took it. And so Megiddo is a crucial place, even outside the Bible. We found different findings in Egypt and in Babylon, in Syria area. Kings that wrote about their journeys to conquer areas, Many of them mention Megiddo as one of the places that they conquered. Actually, the first war that we know of from written history is a conquest, quest that Egyptian king called Thutmose III took from Egypt to Canaan to destroy cities, to take them and to make them his own. And he mentions Megiddo as well. It's one of the areas. Actually, he even says that they tried to trick him, but he tricked them. And it all connects to Megiddo. So, dozens of wars, if not hundreds of them, about thousands and thousands of years of history in this place, in Megiddo. Archaeologists found ruins go back at least 6,000 years. And you understand that we're talking about a city destroyed, city rebuilt, city destroyed and rebuilt again and again. All of it here, and that's today, of course, it's all in ruins. And we're going to go up to the hill and to see the ruins and try to figure out a little bit of it, and the connection and the importance of it, not only as a road junction, but also to the history and to the Bible. Any question? Ready to go out to the sun? A hill, a very short mountain, but it's not naturally that high. This is the city, the ruins of Megiddo. Again, land is not a problem. Agriculture, as you could see earlier, all the valleys down here, lots of food. Road, as I explained, not an issue. Water, there is a spring. On the other side, fresh water. So, rainwater and spring water here are enough. Good place to build a city. You just need a little protection, so they picked up a hill that was right here. That's right at the end of the hills going down Sumerian hills to the valley, and they built a city. Now, some of them came on the road probably. They saw a very nice city and wanted it. So there is a war, the city won the city, fight a little bit, let's say. And during the war, the city was destroyed. Let's say the enemy conquered the city, destroyed the city, and then stopped, look around and say, hey, that's a great place to build a city. So they built their own city. And then the third enemy, another group come, destroy this city and build their own city. A city on top of the city, You remember from yesterday, from Jerusalem. So you understand that the first city was not up there. It was down somewhere here. And what we see are cities, and cities cover each other. Mm-hmm. So we get a mount, a little mount, a man-made mountain, a tell. Megiddo is a little different than Jerusalem, and actually than any other tell that we have, because the archaeologists who dug here after a long while figured out that they are digging through more than 20 different layers of cities. Actually, we talk about 25 different layers, different cities, one on top of the other, for thousands of years. And it's a big headache. Let's go and get it.
I can't.
Oh, we're going into the city, we have to use the gate, no? This is the ruins of an ancient gate, one of the gates to the city. And it's built in a very popular way to the what we call the Canaanite period. before the Israelites came over. Before you enter the city, you have this nice open area, like a piazza, and then you have the gateway. In this case, there are 4 chambers, 4 rooms. It's a 4-room gate. We will see tomorrow other options of gates that looks more or less like that, better shape or not so good shape. So it was a very popular style of building in the ancient times. Of course, 2 towers on both sides of the gate, strong fortification because it's a weak point. The reason why we have a wide open area here is because people came out from the city to a journey through this gate, and people that came from journeys into the city from this gate, needed 2 things. First of all, everybody come here, so there's a little market area, buying, selling stuff. Even the king came down to the gate, as mentioned in the Bible a couple of places. Elderly people came down to the gate to judge people. And also, this is something else that was right here, and you will see more of it tomorrow. This is what we call a high place, a place to worship your gods. When you leave the city, you want to ask them for protection on your journey. And when you come into the city, you want to thank them for the protection they gave you on your journey. So all these things take place where we stand here before you go into the city, at the gate. As you walk through the gate, you can see the wooden beams, and between them, line of like cement. That's the archaeological line. They show you what they found, the way it was found in situ, and what they kind of like rebuild a little bit to show you more how it looks like. Everything under the line is original. This whole area was covered when the archaeologists started to dig here, and they uncovered many things. They had to remove a lot of things that they found, keep going down and find other findings. For example, there's a room right here, if you see in the stone, and there's another one over there, indicating that there was another gate here. 4 rooms gate, or chamber gate. Only 2 of them were removed by the archaeologists, and only 2 were left for you to see. And so there was another gate here. But if we have a gate over here, why do we need another one here?
It's different eras.
Different times, of course. That's from the Canaanite period. This is from the Israelite. Ironite period. Okay? It's the same entrance to the city, only different time. So it's higher, newer, higher. And that is a gate from this right here. Who built it exactly? That's very, very problematic debate. Traditionally, it's related to King Solomon because the Bible tells us that King Solomon built Megiddo. Gates are more or less from the time of King Solomon, but it's a very, very problematic argument, not now in the sun. You can see the entrance as well, going up this way. We came further down for the entrance to the Canaanite period. Here you see the road went up to this gate in the Israelite period.
Just a quickie before we leave here. Just notice you see two rooms that are open. You see one, the stone wall has closed up the third room. And the reason that's important is because the traditional Solomonic gate is a 6-chamber gate. So you got 1, 2, 3 on this side, 1, 2, 3 on the other. And below you only saw 4 chambers, 2 on each side. So the same construction is here as we will see at Gezer. You see the same structure of a gate, same structure at Hatzor. And those were the 3 cities that the Bible says was Solomonic. Now, the guy who's digging here is one of the minimalists who says Solomon never existed. He says this is not Solomon, this is after Solomon. So that's the debate, and there are, you all have read, at least if you read the stuff I sent by email, which you may not have, but if you did, you read some of the arguments about that whole issue, the whole controversy. But this is one of those, of the 3 related gates dealing with the whole, as you've all said, Solomonic controversy. So you'll see more 6-chamber gates.
A lot of agriculture today, also in the ancient times. Again, you can see the mountains of Nazareth, the beginning of Galilee, Mount Tabor, away. It's very hard to see Jordan between the two. And now, coming back here to this tale, to Megiddo. As I say, it's very, very hard to find out 25 layers of different cities. There was a German guy, archaeologist that died here in late 19th century. He didn't know what he was doing really. He just cut in the middle over there, a piece of the mountain, tried to figure it out. It was too complicated. Didn't do much at the structure of the different layers. He went away, and the next group that came, the University of Chicago. And they dug here for a very long time, during the 20s and the 30s of the 20th century. And they were very confused as well. They didn't know what's going on here. They were so confused that they did something that they knew was a very big problem, but they didn't feel that they have any other option. They brought a bulldozer to the corner over there, and they told him, just take off the mountain. Take off the mountain, and that's what he did. Everything, you see, this hole right here was made by bulldozer with the order of the archaeologists. Because basically what they say, we have to try and understand what's going on here. So they went to a corner that they were sure that they will not harm anything important. And they just broke down the mountain, and finally they could stand and look at the different layers and measure them, learn them, and understand them. And that's how they got to the idea. There are 25 of them, one on top of the other. In the middle of trying to understand the whole thing. The bulldozer did hit very interesting things over there. The archaeologists later dug a little more. And what they found there is a holy area, stages, areas for sacrifice. And this is another very interesting thing to learn about the ancient history and the tale, the ruins of cities. After someone destroyed a city and he built his own city on the ruins, usually people will build buildings on ruins of big buildings. They will build a street where there was a street before. And they will build a residential area where there was a residential area. And that also relates to holiness. People will usually build a holy site on the ruins of an earlier holy site, even though it's a different god. basically they say if the people before us believe that that space is important and holy, let's not risk it and build our holy place in the same place. So the archaeologists found 17 different stages, different high places, worship areas, altars if you want, one on top of the other, on the same place. They left this round, beautiful stage that you see today. It's not the top one, nor the bottom one, it was the one that they left for us to see because it's the prettiest. You can see a little staircase to go up. You see it? The stage. You have to then 17 different altars, one on top of the other, in the same place in the city. Right. So that's the beginning of the story. That's the problem. Explain all about the roads coming from all over, and so many wars. Throughout all of history, basically, Megiddo related to wars, again and again and again. By the way, the layers and constructions of walls, as far as I know so far, they relate the 17th layer to King David.
17.
The 17th layer is basically King David. So you understand the number, the construction. 2,000 years ago, Jesus was walking in the area. Megiddo was already in ruins till today, basically. The city was destroyed about 2,000 years ago, and then nobody rebuilt it again. The roads were changed, areas were changed, and they built other cities in different areas, and this was left in ruins. But still, this place is connected to wars. Maybe that is the reason why the guy who wrote Revelation turned to this place, looked at it and said, at the end of times, the big war will take place, a place that the Israelites called the Mountain of Megiddo. Mountain in Hebrew, in English, in Hebrew is Har. In Hebrew Har, in English mountain. Megiddo is the name. So we are on the Mount of Megiddo, Har Megiddo. Har Megiddo, Har Megiddo, Armageddon. This is the place of Armageddon. The end of time, big war, there's enough room for the armies to come. This is a biblical connection of this place, except for, of course, Solomon in the Old Testament. Right. Questions? Something else you want to add?
But just when you see this altar here, realize this is pre-Joshua. So this is Canaanite. What is it, 1500 BC? Late Bronze? Okay, so you've got pre-Joshua Canaanite. It's a great illustration for the idolatry that's around, and we'll be seeing more of that. But good pictures.
About grain, how many of them you can fit here? And that's obviously a lot. It's a very, very big grain silo. And it was, how should I say, it's like a factory. You can see that there is a staircase to go down, but there are two of them. On both sides you can go down and up. A lot of people work here, and they brought their products probably from all over. It had something to cover it, of course. It didn't survive because it wasn't made of stone. And this, to see something as big as this for grains, it shows us that the city here was the king's city. A city that the king controlled, that was important to the king, and probably the capital of the whole region. Because all the farmers in the whole region brought their products to this city and not to any other city. It's a king place, king importance, and the Bible says that. King Solomon built Megiddo as a center. Again, I will not go into saying if that is from King Solomon time or after him, but the idea is the same idea. And you can take the pictures and we move on. So, for almost 2,000 years there was nothing here in Megiddo. Only the ruins, and most of them, almost all of them, were covered. But after the Jews came back to this whole area, digging started and so on in 1948, the Jews rebuilt a settlement in Megiddo this time. A small kibbutz. We will talk about what is the kibbutz later. Called Megiddo. Of course, not above the ruins of the earlier cities, because now we want to explore the past and not destroy the past. At least some of us. And so they build a little bit to the side. Basically, if you want, using the same water sources as the people that lived here 4, 5, 6,000 years ago. And if you look further, you can see the hills and mountains of Samaria. There's a big city over there. It's Jenin. It's a Palestinian city because it's the West Bank already. Now, we are standing in a place, as you can understand, was right here. I can give you a hint. Very nice big area, horses on both sides, place for water and food over here, and a nice open area outside, basically to let the horses run. It's not the only stable, there's another one on the other side that we talk because it's harder to see, it's more obvious. Even that was a debate because the structure is very similar to that one that's found down in the south in Beersheba. You will go to see. Over there, the same structure, at the same time, storeroom. So they weren't sure if this is a stable or not, but today.
When Hatzor was shown to be a storeroom,
Hatzor as well. So it also added to the debate whether this place was built by Solomon or after him or before him. No problem. Stables, the Bible talks about stables here. Again, there's a question. This one belongs to King Solomon. You have to jump later and relate it to the next important king who controlled this area, that's King Ahab. Also have chariots, stables, and everything in Megiddo. This is basically from Solomon or Ahab. But what's the idea? Stable. Pictures. So, we are located not far from the water source of Megiddo. The spring, like in Jerusalem, same idea, comes out from the bottom of this hill, down there somewhere to the valley. The problem is the same problem always. The walls must be up here, but we need to go down to the water. This time, no problem. What do we do in a war situation? Now, how they solved it in Jerusalem, we saw yesterday. was maybe almost time. Anyway, where were we?
How do I solve your problem?
Yeah. Solving the water problem.
Thank you guys. Enjoy.
Many groups of people needed to figure it out, and the people of Megiddo found their own way to do it, and it's not very different from the way that was found in Jerusalem, a little different. They also thought that the best way will be to get to the water from inside the mountain. So they digged a shaft down. This time, what they did was to dig the shaft basically to the level of the water and even a little bit below the level of the water. And then they dug a tunnel, a straight tunnel, behind the water source, and let the water fall back down and through the tunnel into the pit, into the shaft. It's to go above the shaft and pick up water. It's like a man-made well. Under the ground, inside the mountain, to you. Of course, that means that you don't need to go out behind the walls of the city to get to the water. And then the only thing left to them to do was to cover the natural exit of the spring to the outside, so that any enemy that will come here will have no clue how do the people here have water. Where is the water source? Because you can walk around again 10 times and will not find anything. That's what they did. A little difference between the people of Jerusalem and the people here. In order to start and chisel the mountain down, they first had to destroy many leftovers before their time, ruins of earlier cities and towns. So they had to dig first, build very thick walls to support, not to fall on them, and only then they chiseled down
Bedrock.
through the bedrock and chiseled the tunnel to the spring. Questions? Ready to go down? It's not as narrow as what we experienced yesterday.
It has lights.
It has lights inside, it's not as long as well. It's closer to the Canaanite style than to if you want, it's a little closer to the Canaanite digging than to the Israelite, although it was the Israelite business. Now the Assyrians destroyed Megiddo and other cities that they destroyed the whole northern kingdom, the kingdom of Israel. This was made before that, which means before Hezekiah had to dig his tunnel in Jerusalem. Almost 3,000 years ago. Let's go down, it's quiet. That's the other side. This is the area of the spring. The spring originally started over there somewhere and went down out. We dug the tunnel, came here, and made the water fall down this direction and fill up the tunnel all the way to the end. And so they could just go over there and pick up the water. Today, as you can see, the spring water are not coming, not a lot. Of course, we use the water before they go through the mountain. And for irrigation, for the new kibbutz, we need these waters to drink. Not a lot of it comes down here. In a good winter, you get more water. Sometimes the water are high enough to go into the tunnel, even today. And I don't know if you noticed, but there's a little mud under the wooden floor. The wooden floor was built as a wooden floor because sometimes there might be water under. But we didn't have a good winter in the last 8 years now. So, in many, many years, that's as much water as we get in the spring. Anyway, going out this way, unless you want to go back. And look to the right, you can see the source of the spring. Go further, you see the wall, stone wall. Some of it is new, but a lot of it is the original wall built by the defenders of the city to stop the exit of the spring out, build the wall, and cover the wall with earth and dirt, and made it look like part of the mountain. And that's part of the fortification, protecting the spring.